For those of you who have been watching the channel for a long time, you know that I make a lot of characters. I've even referred to myself as an altaholic. And the reasoning for this is I like to bring a lot of characters into the end game, and in order to do that, of course, I have to level them up. Now, this can be a somewhat long and occasionally difficult process, but there are some items in the game that make this a whole lot easier. And in this video, I'm going to break down my top 10 leveling uniques so that we can go over those and help you level up faster. Hello friends, this is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and if you want to see new Path of Exile content roughly every other day, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell icon, and also give it a like if you enjoyed it. I'll be going over my top 10 leveling uniques in this video, and if I left one of your favorites out, leave it in the comment section below, or let me know what your favorite leveling setup is, and let's get into the list. Number 10 is Hirez Bite, and it makes this list mostly because it allows not only bow characters to level nicely, but it allows characters that don't get access to a lot of dexterity the ability to level up as a bow character if they please. It gives a lot of stats, it gives a lot of life gain on hit, it gives a lot of attack speed, some damage, and it is also giving you some area of effect. So if you want to level up a character as a Rain of Arrows character and switch to Tornado Shot later on, it's very, very useful for that. While bows may not be very much in meta right now, I still think this is an extremely powerful leveling unique that is worthy of consideration because of the versatility it gives you in gearing due to the stats that it gives. Number 9 is a little less of a controversial pick. A lot of people have been using this one for a long time, and that is Gold Rim. Gold Rim is going to give you a ton of elemental resistances very early on, and it's going to be difficult to replace until the later game when you start using it. Of course, later on you'll want life and resistances, and once you get your resistances sorted out, you can take care of this, but this is going to make sure you're not taking too much elemental damage in your journey through Rayclast. Number 8, we couldn't leave the melee characters hanging. This is Onigoroshi. And Onigoroshi, if you want to check out a video where I talk about how to farm that, I'll leave a card that you can click on and come back and check out the rest of the list, or I'll leave it in the description below. Check it out after the video. But this sword drops from Uberhillik, and you're able to farm it using a certain method. And what's interesting about this is it's a weapon you can start using right away from level 1 as soon as you get it, and it is going to be a 6 link at all times. So when you get it, it'll be a 6 link. You can keep adding your links to it, as well as the fact that it actually scales damage as you level, which makes it extremely powerful for leveling up a melee bit. You may find better weapons later on, but this is going to keep you pretty much topped off on damage throughout your entire run. For number 7, we have Praxis. And Praxis is an interesting one. It's one I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. It is level 22, so you're not going to be able to use it right away, but when you do use it, it'll make sure that there are no mana problems, especially if you are using a 6 link with an item we'll talk about later, or the Onigoroshi. You won't have mana problems throughout your leveling experience, so a lot of times I'll keep this until at least Blood Aqueducts when I can get my mana problems figured out, and it is a very, very powerful leveling item for literally any build that relies on mana. Number 6 is Sacrificial Heart. Now this is another one that you don't start using until later on. It's level 32. However, it has a bunch of added bonuses if you're using a Vol skill to level, so that's very nice. And the biggest draw is if you're using an attack build or if you're using an elemental spell build of any type. This is going to be extremely powerful. There's tons and tons of added damage on this thing. It's going to put you leagues ahead in terms of DPS compared to a lot of other items you can get at this level, and it'll carry you on pretty much until you get to close to endgame, and you can kind of scale things through percentages a little better. But in the early game, when the base damages aren't so high, all of this added damage increases your base damage by an enormous amount. Getting back to the lower level items, I'm going to bring up our number 5 pick. It is Kuru Ward. The big draw on this one, it gives you a free 10% movement speed, which is fantastic. Movement speed is king while leveling up. Also gives you a sizable amount of strength and dexterity. And the projectile damage, projectile speed can be very useful on some builds, as well as the accuracy if you're playing an attack build can be very nice. So this is a great build for zooming through the game, and it gets even more bonuses if you're playing a skill that uses projectile. Number 4 is going to be one of the most widely regarded leveling items, of course. It is in the top 4. It is Life Sprig. And now this wand would be good enough if it just gave you the spell damage and cast speed that it gives you. However, it gives you life and mana as well, making it easier to sustain your spells and survive. It also gives you life regen when you cast a spell, and it gives you +1 to the gems that you socket in. So it basically is almost like an extra gem link you can use right from the beginning. Sometimes you can use a life sprig for a very extended period of time and actually be successful. X6, 7, that type of thing. So this is a very strong wand and definitely worth picking up. It'll speed up your early game incredibly. Alright, before we get into our top 3, I just want to do a few honorable mentions, ones that are either too specific or only work for a certain period of time. So we're going to start off with some melee items. We have Bright Beacon Screaming Eagle. Because of the way melee weapon progression works, you'll kind of have to chain these into each other, and then you'll have to find something else. So because they're only useful for relatively short periods of time, you can't use them through most of your leveling progress like you can many of these other items. I don't consider them one of the top. The next ones I have are Worm's Molt and Meganard's Girdle, both of which are very good early on as far as specifically for attack builds, as they get, one of them gives you Leech and a bunch of stats, the other one gives you that damage, which is really, really nice. Quill Rain is another one I want to mention. For certain builds, you can actually use this all the way through, and I would have put this solidly at number 11. You could argue that maybe for the bow builds, it's a little better than Hirez Bite, but I like the versatility and class that Hirez Bite gives you, so I gave it the slight edge. Quill Rain almost makes it. And lastly, Asenath's Mark, which gives you attack speed, cast speed, and mana regeneration, making it quite useful early on. And it'll be something that you'll want to replace eventually, which is one of the reasons that I got rid of it. You'll need some health in the helmet slot at some point, but it is a very good helmet for that period of time. More speed makes it feel better. Alright, so our number 3, we're going to go with Axiom Perpetuum. And Axiom is very, very strong in that it gives you, when you first equip it, a decent amount of elemental damage, but the way it really shines is the amount of spell crit it gives, which is an outstanding amount. This is way more than you can roll on endgame wands, for instance. It's very similar to the top tier of staff spell crit roll, which is insane, and you can dual wield them. So if you're running an elemental crit build, Axioms are going to last you all game. Eventually you will find something better, but this is an absolute beast for leveling up elemental spell builds. If you want to get those crits and get them very frequently, Axioms are the way to go. Number 2 is one that you can use on literally any character. This is a Wanderlust. Now, Wanderlust has a lot going for it. You can equip it right away. You can get 20% movement speed, and like I said, movement speed is king in the early game. You can't be frozen, and being frozen, of course, does slow you down, and you get a fairly sizable amount of mana regeneration from this as well. So while it doesn't provide you with a lot of the survivability stats necessarily outside of the immunity to freeze, it does provide you with a lot of very valuable utility stats, and that is the reason that this is going to be something that I'm going to use on all of my leveling characters throughout most of their leveling experience. Very powerful. And finally, our number 1 pick for leveling items. Of course, you've all seen it coming. You know what I'm going to say. It is the Tabula Rasa. Now, the Tabula Rasa allows you to run a 6-link where you don't have to worry about the colors because all the slots are white. You can put any gems into any slot, and you can run a 6-link right from the beginning. Of course, you're not going to have enough gems or to actually run a 6-link in the beginning, but what you can do is you can have a single target and an AoE ability in the same 6-link, basically have 2 5-links or add them as you go. It's really powerful for leveling. You get a 6-link much earlier on than you would normally be able to, and it is pretty easy to obtain. I have a video, same one about the Onigoroshi, still in the little card you can click there, but you will be able to very easily farm Tabula Rasas later on, so you can use them to level up your new character. I would highly recommend doing so. They're great for double corruptions with the possibility of plus to gem levels as well. So get yourself a Tabula Rasa. Hello friends! If you'd like to support the channel, you can either check out the Patreon link up there and consider becoming a patron, and there are various awards associated with that, including access to the Discord channel. And you can also hit the join button down there if you want to support me here directly from YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, thank you. Bye.